Good afternoon. We are now at Symantec's office. I'm here to discuss about the latest discovery from Symantec, a new infection called the DuQu. Here with us we have, I think, Mr. Ronnie Ng.
Yes.
Right. Can you please introduce yourself and what's your role in Symantec?
Hi, my name is Ronnie. I'm the Senior Manager for Systems Engineering in Symantec. So as part of my work, daily I speak to customers, understand some of their challenges that they have around security as well as infrastructure protection. And then me and my team try to work out solutions using the products that is in our portfolio.
Okay, yeah. Thank you. In discussing this new discovery, there is a precedent which is Stuxnet. So I think it is fair to talk about Stuxnet first in chronological order, so that we know the origin of Stuxnet, how similar and how different it is to the new discovery, which is DQ or DuQu.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Well, Stuxnet was discovered more than a year ago. It was a fairly sophisticated piece of malware. In malware, what we mean is malicious software. It was unprecedented that we saw malicious software like Stuxnet exploiting 4 zero-day vulnerabilities all at the same time, right? So it seems to be the work of highly professional hackers, and it is a very targeted attack, whereby it's targeting very likely industrial control systems with the aim of sabotaging those systems, right? So this is the observation that we saw, and over the course of the last 1 year, we have also seen it evolve over time. And this piece of malware has been during the time, right, when it was detected. We have observed some of these its prevalence around around the world. Yeah. So primarily, it is self-replicating in nature, right? Meaning that it will try to find its way using various different vectors, very different means onto machines with the aim of detecting or finding a system that actually is being used to develop PLC programs, the control programs.
Okay, thank you. For the customer's sake, or for anyone else who is purchasing your certificates, how do you go about protecting your asset, your certificate?
No. Well, if you were to look at the intent of a certificate, that one is uniquely being used to ensure that there is trust between two parties that are actually transacting information between two organizations. So the keys are therefore important in ensuring that an individual is who he says he is, and therefore in the process of managing those keys, right, you need to keep that really under wraps. Really, only you yourself knows where the location of the keys, and when you use the keys, you do not divulge information about your keys to possibly individuals who do not have who should not be having access to those keys. Really is all about processes, because you are dealing with people. Mm-hmm. The certificates are really something that is your own. You have to have a good process around ensuring that these certificates are protected and secure.
Okay.
Right. In the course of the daily work. So very much is a process thing rather than from a technology angle. How do you protect that?
Okay. Okay. Let's go back to DQ. Will a consumer like me have anything to be worried about? If, let's say, does it matter if my system is on 32-bit or 64-bit? Mm-hmm. And I always run as an admin. It's the easiest mode for me to run in. Do I have anything to worry about when it comes to DQ?
So yes, there are some good practices that as a consumer you should take. For example, say for myself at home, right? I am the administrator of my computer at home. However, when I assign when I allow other users at home to use my computer, I do not give them admin rights. And the reason is simple, right? Administration right gives you a lot of privileges onto your system. Potentially, if now a system is compromised, because every system software will have some vulnerabilities, it's always about detecting and finding those vulnerabilities and then patching those vulnerabilities. So there's always a risk, and one of the good ways to protect against those risks of being exploited is to not run in escalated privileges, right? So that's a good practice to have, right? So to your second point, whether the system is 32-bit or 64-bit, it doesn't really matter, because today, whether it's 32-bit or 64-bit operating system, or for that matter, whether it's Mac OS or Windows and any other operating system platform, right, there are always vulnerabilities on every platform. What is important is ensuring that you're always up to date in terms of your system patches and making sure that you have the right security software, antivirus, and so on in place to protect your system. That is the best way to ensure that you're protected, and of course also be very aware of what you're doing. A lot of times end users are really the last line of defense, right? Whereby you're the most vulnerable, right? You're the one that is accessing the system. So your action in how you conduct yourself on the internet will also determine your own risk profile. It really depends on which sites you go to, and also what your actions that you take. You shouldn't be, for example, clicking on any link that pops up and asks you a question or something interesting. You need to make sure you validate that link, that is something legitimate, so that you will not get into a sticky situation.
Okay, that is for the consumer side. How about Symantec? How are you? You have your antivirus and all that. How do you deal with, especially things like the zero-day infection and attacks in general?
So if you look at zero-day, right? So what is a zero-day attack?
My understanding is things that you haven't discovered yet.
Exactly. Yeah, you're very correct. A zero-day vulnerability is a vulnerability that has not previously been known. It is something that has just been discovered, for which there is really no patch that's available to secure the system. So that's a zero-day vulnerability. And the zero-day attack, therefore, is an attack that's been created. That means a piece of malicious software that's primarily created to exploit this vulnerability and create a problem on the system. So this is always a cat and mouse race, right? Whereby the attackers are in the dark. They will always be looking for ways to compromise systems. So if we look at very large enterprises or even our corporate customers, our advice is always defense in depth, centered around information. You need to ensure you understand what kind of information is important to the organization. Take a very policy-based, risk-based approach, meaning classify your information and prioritize the way you protect those information. Investing in technology, process, and the right user awareness, right, to ensure they understand what security is, and making sure that you're able to protect the most important information in the organization. That would mean, of course, making sure that you have the right security softwares in place to protect the threats that are coming into the organization, and also having solutions such as like data loss prevention that is always constantly monitoring the information that is outflowing from the organization up, making sure that the most important assets, right, are only going out to the people that are supposed to receive them, right? So that ensures that you have a very holistic approach, very policy-based, looking at what you need to protect, having the right solutions on the ground to protect inflow and outflow information.
Okay, thank you. Okay, for DuQu, I think the discovery, it was also reported by a research lab, because I was reading through the PDF file.
Yes.
Will you be able to tell us who?
Unfortunately, we will not be able to tell you who that research lab is, but basically it is a lab that is in Europe. There was they first detected DuQu, and then from there is where we start to look at it and did our analysis on the malware.
Okay, thank you. Finally, do you have anything else to add on the questions of DuQu or antivirus in general?
Well, I would say if you look at today's threat landscape, as also outlined in our Internet Security Threat Report, we are seeing attacks now getting more sophisticated and very, very targeted. So organizations, whether it's the government, all private organizations need to be very alert and very diligent in ensuring that their security posture is always at high alert, right? And we are seeing, and this is just the beginning, right? We could potentially in the future see more Stuxnet-like attacks, which could cause very impactful damages in the future. So, and likewise, us being a organization that is focusing on security, we are working with the government agencies, like for example in Singapore, IDA, CITSA, to ensure that we drive awareness of security, sharing of best practices in how you protect critical infrastructure, right, and doing our part to ensure we create a more secure world in this very unpredictable threat landscape.
All right. Thank you very much, Ronnie.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you.